Hey guys, it's Sean O'Connell, the managing director here at CinemaBlend, and following the enormous success of Todd Phillips' Joker, I'm here to tell you exactly why I want to see a sequel to this film. Before I do that though, go down and hit subscribe and turn on your notifications because I'm posting videos like this on CinemaBlend's YouTube page all the time, and I want to make sure that you guys get to see every single one of them. First off, I want to point out that Todd Phillips has basically said he did not plan to do a sequel for Joker. This was always meant to be a standalone, sort of solo story about the origin of a character, Arthur Fleck, who may eventually become Joker, played by Joaquin Phoenix. And I think that Joaquin Phoenix basically signed up to do this part because he wasn't locking himself into a long-term franchise. But things change, especially when your movie makes as much money as Joker did over the weekend, and I think that the conversations at Warner Brothers will start happening now to potentially do a second movie in this franchise. Again, Joker made north of $200 million globally, showing that people really did respond to the R-rated take, the much darker take on the DC villain. So even without a traditional Batman showing up in the Joker film, fans hungry for more mature DC storytelling came to support Joker. And when you put that sort of number on the screen from a box office perspective, I could see why the studio would want to get behind doing it. That explains why the studio would be interested in following up on more Joker, but the reason why I want to see it is because there's still plenty of time in Arthur's story for us to learn more about this character before he ever gets to a place where he confronts Batman. Now, naturally, we did see young Bruce Wayne in Joker. He's probably around 9 or 10 years of age, which means that there's about 20-year span before young Bruce Wayne becomes the Batman that we know who's protecting Gotham. This would allow Warner Brothers and Joaquin Phoenix to explore some crucial years in the development of the Arthur Fleck character that we could see in a second movie before you even have to think about putting Batman in it. One big critique that I've heard from people coming out of Joker is that they just didn't believe that the Arthur Fleck character that Joaquin Phoenix was playing is close enough to the sort of criminal mastermind that Batman constantly has to lock wits with, and that yes, I could see that Arthur might not be the fully formed, developed criminal mastermind that we know the Joker to become, but a second film in this, quote-unquote franchise, for lack of a better word, that sort of explores how being in Gotham and continuing to deal with the pressure of bringing out the Joker character could go a lot further towards showing us how the Joker eventually needs to go head-to-head with Batman, and we can do that in a film that doesn't even need to have Batman in it and yet still continue the story from this first Joker movie. I also just think that a second Joker movie gives us more time with Joaquin Phoenix in this role, and most of the people coming out of it, whether you liked the movie or not, all tend to agree that Joaquin Phoenix gives one of the best performances of his career. I will admit that bringing him back for a sequel is going to take a lot of convincing. He just does not seem like the type of person who gets involved in franchises that routinely have to bring him back to the characters. He has not done like a superhero role before. However, if this ends up becoming an Oscar-winning role for him, and if there is material for him to continue to explore in Arthur Fleck and Joker, since he really just becomes Joker at the tail end of this first movie, I could see Joaquin being lured back to sort of take the next few steps in the development of that character. It doesn't even have to be a movie that sets up a trilogy. I know the studios always like to get a trilogy, but Joaquin Phoenix in a few years might want to come back and slide into the Joker's shoes again and really see where the character of Arthur goes now that he's fully become the Joker, and even take him much further into his descent into madness, because you would assume just a few more years in Gotham is going to do a lot to the psyche of the Arthur Fleck character, and we might get to see Joaquin go full Joker or even half Joker before he even gets to the point of where he's going toe-to-toe with Batman. As a final point, even if Todd Phillips does not want to return to this franchise, and I could see he might have just envisioned this as a one-off project, a second Joker movie might have the ability to bring in a fresh voice and work with Joaquin to go in a different direction with the character and develop where he goes in Gotham. I sort of liken that to how David Ayer launched the Suicide Squad franchise and now has passed the baton over to James Gunn. Now, James Gunn has said he's going to do something completely different with the squad, but he's keeping some of the pieces, whether it be Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang or, of course, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. He took elements that worked in the first Suicide Squad movie, and he's going to go in a different direction with them. Another filmmaker, someone who Joaquin Phoenix has a lot of trust in, could very easily come back to Joaquin with an idea for a second Joker story that, again, still removes himself from the Batman franchise or having to go toe-to-toe with the Batman, maybe even developing some other famous Gotham villains over the course of it, and just seeing how Joker's influence is continuing to shape Gotham, because I thought Gotham in Todd Phillips' movie was its own character, and you could see how depraved and nasty that city was, that it led to the formation of Arthur turning into Joker, but also meant we're going to eventually need a Batman to come in and clean this up. A second film could really get into how sleazy Gotham has become under the influence of Arthur and his clowns, and I think would go further into showing us where a Batman would eventually have to come into the story, but doesn't have to come in just yet. Maybe this happens, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe Joaquin Phoenix cannot be convinced to come back for any more Joker films, and maybe Warner Brothers is very happy to move on with the rest of their DC slate. It's also very possible that DC may be convinced that now they can take more chances on single standalone stories for other characters that are equally compelling, and they aren't afraid to go after that R rating because the box office has shown that people will come out and support it as long as it's done seriously. I think it basically means that the future is bright for whatever they want to try to do between Warner Brothers and DC, so long as they trust their filmmakers with the story that they are trying to tell. Go down to the comment section and tell me what you guys thought about Joker. Did you like what Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips were trying to do in this film? And more importantly, do you want to see them try to do another film together? While you're down there, of course, do me a favor, hit subscribe and turn on your notifications. We're posting videos like this all the time on CinemaBlend's YouTube page, and we want to make sure that you guys get a chance to see all of them.